How's it going? This is Keanu Yamamoto with the Coachers Podcast in here with Coach Dan Stevens, the women's head beach volleyball coach for Corban University. Coach, thanks for jumping on. Please tell us about your family, your journey, your background, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm been married 36 years, got 2 kids. They're not kids anymore. Son's 31, daughter's 30. Son is doing concrete like I've done my whole life. And daughter's wrapped up playing some AVP ball, and it's been working a long time for friends of mine down there in the LA area.
Pouring concrete your whole life, head beach volleyball coach at Corban, wildly successful. Talk to us about kind of that progression and that transition.
Well, played volleyball in high school up in Canada, indoor, moved back here where I grew up in Corvallis, started playing beach with guys from the OSU club team, grew up in the concrete business. Stepdad was a concrete contractor. So I had a trade under my belt, started my own business, kept playing ball. I could work in the mornings from 6 a.m. to noon and then just go play beach all afternoon. So I had friends that were better ball players than me that would work for me so they could work that schedule, make money, and then still train. My wife, married her. She's lucky. And no, but I just kept playing ball and doing concrete, what I knew, right? And started my own business when I was 23 and just being self-motivated, make my own schedule, all that type of stuff. Wife learned to love the game, and so it was pretty easy. We never had to talk about whether it was okay to go play ball.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But
anyway, kind of like golf, kind of like me in golf right now.
Yeah, and I kind of transitioned to that here the last few years. So anyways, it's just coached some club ball with friends and just kind of stayed in touch with volleyball, even during my business and raising the kids and all that stuff. So that really didn't get involved in the coaching heavy until my daughter was in 6th grade and wanted to play junior high ball. And of course, they needed a coach. And then so that just kind of led into all of that. So Tani kind of got me into the coaching part of it. Yeah. And coached some high school a little bit, coached, just assisted where I could. When Corban job, actually, they were starting the program. Deanna was the assistant coach for Corban indoor, and she started up the beach part. And of course, I had no funding for an assistant coach. Dick and Kim McLean said, just call Dan. He won't need money. It's come help you. So got involved with that. When Deanna left, I was actually looking to leave the program.
Yeah.
Good assistants, Max and other people. And I had a bunch of golf trips planned, and I was just going to kind of ride off into the sunset and do my thing. Yeah. All of a sudden they needed a coach, and I couldn't talk my way out of it. And now I'm, glad I did it. So.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Kind of talk about just the why. Like you said, you had a bunch of golf trips planned out, but what was the why that one drew you in and then obviously to keep you there?
Yeah. We never really know what the Lord has involved for our life. Just when we think we have it all together, He makes us turn a different direction, right? So it was, we talked to players about expanding outside of their comfort circle to grow and get better, right? Well, I guess I was a little too comfortable. So it was time to get outside of my circle. There's a lot to learn about taking on all the clerical stuff and all the stuff for coaching university and all the financing of it and all that stuff. So I knew it was a big undertaking. Good athletic director jumped in, helped me out. Just loved coaching though, so I always had an easy gig by assisting a lot of people, never taking on too many of the head coaching things, so I could keep my business going and still go play and do stuff, right? So taking on the head coaching, man, the recruiting, all the stuff, staying on their grades, doing all that stuff. It's really dug into the old golfing. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's, it's something that I love and enjoying. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. If I were to come up and watch a practice, which one of these days I got to, what would you want me to take away from the practice? Like what is the identity of the program? What do you want the program to stand for?
First, you'd have to reflect on your life and the bad choices you made that led you to the place where you had to come up and watch my practice. Really try to instill a lot of fun in the game and people loving the game. I want my players to leave the program when they graduate wanting to play more. I want you to see the love of the game, the passion of the game, them leaving it out there. They may have had a bad day, all that stuff, but I want to see a team unity where they are lifting each other up, pushing each other. And we try to keep practices moving fast. We try to get the conditioning done while they're playing and drilling. We try to instill pressure, and so that they're used to playing under pressure.
Yeah.
So that's built in. And when they step on the court, we like them to be winded. So if they're off the court, they're doing something. So when they step on to serve, receive, or play, they're having to make decisions with higher heart rates, things that mimic late in the games or championship matches. So their decision making is easier that way when they're under pressure. Everything's kind of geared towards that. Every drill we do, all that stuff is geared to, yes, to get the touches, develop the skills. We work on that, but there's a purpose involved in each thing we do. There's a score, there's consequences on things, just different things we build in so that, they're just not going through the motions.
Sure. Can you kind of talk about it? Like how you said, you want to apply pressure. Can you kind of talk about, a specific drill or something that you do to apply pressure?
Yeah. Well, one, when we're doing the pairings and picking those things, that's a series of weeks going through things. I will pair a top All-American with a developing player, or just out of the blue, I may leave them play there a couple days, see their thought process, see how they team up with that person, see if they start getting in their own head of, well, why is this happening? Or are they confident in who they are in their game, make that other player better, and that type of thing. Moving on to the next point all the time, that mindset of next ball wasn't always something I was good at. In fact, I wasn't. I just wanted to be ticked off for a while. And
You were on, I'd watch you and Uncle John Shuey play quite a bit at Seaside, and you were on tilt more than you weren't on tilt.
yeah, well,
Or you were saying something funny.
yeah. And usually John was poking the bear to try to get me mad because he liked when I played mad. Uh, and I was trying to get to that more mature stage where I could just play at an even keel and just rely on the skills. And unfortunately, I couldn't rely on the athleticism. But we do a drill called the continuation drill. A lot of people play, winners get the ball or losers get the ball, and a ball keeps coming in. But we do it to where that ball can go anywhere when that ball's dead, and we have the other players sweeping the court and getting out. There's a continuous ball being entered typically where the court is open. So if your partner's diving to the front, you're going to go back and cover the back of the court because most likely that's where I'm going to chuck a ball. Or if you just dove, I may put a ball next to you. You may be diving again. We do this until they're fatigued, but they keep having to make decisions under doing that. Ball can go to either side of the court. Players that have a problem with their last ball in matches, they have this period of time where they don't look at their partner. They don't process what just happened. They're not thinking ahead of what's happening again. It kind of works that out of their minds, right?
Yeah.
You don't have time to do that. You're automatically down, you're back up, and you're moving on to the next ball. And then having to make decisions when you're tired, because if I think you're slacking off or doing something weak, it's going to continue. The way to get out of it's play good ball, make good decisions, and you get out of that drill quicker. So
yeah. Can you kind of run down what a basic practice structure looks like?
Yeah, usually at the start of the week, Monday, Tuesdays, we drill more. We'll have 4 courts going. Usually a lot of times a drill will be built on each court. So it might be the start of the drill on one court, add an element, another element to it, rotate those courts. Usually have a coach on each court, keeping them moving. They're always doing something when they're off the court. Like I said, there's no standing. We don't just do drills to do drills. They're built to get lots of touches on the ball. We do a lot of that motivational talk, cheering each other on when they're on the courts and doing that stuff. But then we move into the playing part of it, just different shorter scored games or things like that they have to be processing the game, doing things, making decisions quick, learn by playing the ball, keep that ball going, keep playing, put them in different scenarios. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through Friday. We're playing a lot. Some days shorter games, some days longer. But yeah, it's our warm-ups are a little extended with a lot of digging, one-hand touch, out of system touch things. We do a lot of different one-hand dig style things, hard hits at each other, back and forth, keeping it going, dig to the self, set to yourself. hit back, all that stuff. Yeah, we're looking to everything we do is to make the game fast in practice.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're playing, the game seems slower. They're ahead of the ball. So
I like that. No, I played a lot of beach ball in my life. I don't know if I've ever practiced beach volleyball. Like it's just always it's just I mean
no, by
besides
watching you, I
peppering on
can
the
tell that.
side, it's just always show up and play.
Yep, exactly. But you do learn by playing, right? And a lot of the new philosophies on learning games and doing stuff like that is athletes will figure it out, right? So I balance that with teaching the skills, but you can give that to them without stopping things, explain it once, and then they'll kind of know it. And then while they're playing, you can give them those tips and things like that. I tell them,
Yeah.
don't look at me. I said, just keep
I mean, you're
focusing on
not
what
you're
you're
not
doing.
nice to look at either way. So
Man, I tell you what, well, I just don't want them to feel inferior. But we do have a good time. We joke around a lot. You know me. I want them to be able to relieve their stress, have a good time. If there was anything that I promote the most for coaching and stuff, is communication. That's number one. They need to learn to communicate with a coach, with a boss, with a professor. So it's kind of the whole package. They need to communicate within a team, what they need to do, all that type of stuff. And they need to be able to take communication. So they need to be able to take coaching. They need to be able to take the pertinent information out of what's being said in an emotional situation. So they get caught up in the emotion of a boss or a coach. Can they process the information and take the emotion out of it and then go do it? I think communication is a huge part of what I try to teach.
you mentioned, you want it to be fun. You want it to be a place of release for them, where they can, leave all their outside worries, all their external worries, and they can, focus on ball. So how do you go about balancing fun and, being intentional with what you're doing and not one overpowering the other, but both kind of, I guess, work in synchronization for an optimal product? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
making freaking words up over here. You know what I mean?
beautiful, man.
Just trying to sound smart, making
Word
words up.
salad.
You can't, you know what I'm asking though? How do you balance having fun and being intentional with what you're doing?
Yeah, just teaching them that competing hard and training hard is fun, right? It's okay to make mistakes, make aggressive mistakes. If they're silly, like you make a great dive for a ball and you come up short and it bounces, it hits you in the head or something like that. I mean, laugh at it, have some fun. Don't take yourself too serious, right? So that's the big thing. Do not take yourself too serious. Leave it all on the court and celebrate the good stuff and laugh at the funny stuff and yeah, and work hard because when you're working hard at something, you see the development in you, you feel good about yourself, and that brings a positive out already.
Yeah.
So a lot of positive reinforcement. And if I'm not taking myself too serious and they can tease back and do stuff, then they tend not to take themselves as serious and get into their own heads, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, that was funny. Let's move on. That type
You
of
mentioned
stuff.
you mentioned the continuation drill. If there was is there another drill that, that you believe that, if coaches come and watch a practice that they should take with them and that they should steal and use for their program or their club?
I can't emphasize enough doing one hand out of system touch, quick dig things, right? And it's a lot of fun. You're challenging each other, you're taking swings at each other, you're prepared for it, learn to shape the ball, open hands, knuckles, all that type of stuff. The team named it Bop Bop. It's where you and your partner, I swing at your head, you dig one hand to yourself, and then swing back at me. And you switch arms, they'll hit right arm, left arm, switch it up. But you're just learning those one hand control touches. So when the game gets fast and you're peeling, balls smacked at you, poof, nice calm dig. So we talk about not panic digging. Just dig the ball calmly up. You made the work to get there. Make a calm dig up. Don't try to redirect it, all that type of stuff. Learn to control the ball, be calm about it, and you'll get a good set out of it from your partners. But you'll see a lot of that in our warm up. You'll see that on the side of the court when they're off.
Yeah. Is that a dynamic drill? Are they trying to move a lot during that, or are they trying to be stationary control?
Stationary control with the bop bop type thing, but they're obviously moving. I
I
know.
can't.
Hey, I didn't
I
name it.
can't. I can't. Little bop bop. Yeah, I can't take it
Yeah,
seriously. That's
they
funny.
named it last year, and so that's what we call it. they'll do that for a bit with the partner, then they'll get in a smaller group and they'll go after each other in a group setting. But we're always emphasizing being in a low defensive stance. So you should have a thigh burn when it's done. They learn to open up and chase that ball out of that circle and bring it back in without over redirecting it, just calmly digging. And so we like to chase balls down and keep them in play. Uh, yeah, we're digging with a purpose. I tell them that we're not just getting a dig and then we're going to send it over so our partner doesn't have to get up and hit it. No, we're digging to attack. So yeah, that's we're athletes. We're going to get up after that hard dig and we're going to have a set coming to us and we're going to be aggressive off of it. So
what would you say is the greatest challenge in coaching?
All the clerical stuff, dealing with the grades, teaching the communication, the mental part of it is big, especially if you have someone that struggles with that, that's the clerical, their grade, like I said, the grades, all that stuff, uh, scheduling. We're at a small college. I have to do it all. I have to schedule the trips. I have to schedule the flights. I mean, I can get a travel agent to do it.
So you're the director of volleyball operations?
Yes, that's what it is. And then you're just relieved when you can finally walk up to the courts and just coach volleyball. So
No doubt.
that's the fun part. The rest of it's a chore. So yeah.
Talk to me a little bit. You mentioned coaching your daughter. That's something I hope I get to do if she wants me to coach her. But talk to me a little bit about those dynamics. Was that fun? Was there I guess a growing pain period there? Talk to me a little bit about that. So she went on to play at Washington State, just for the people listening. She went to play at Washington State, both indoor and beach.
She played indoor for Washington State. She
That's the dog,
played,
by the way.
Hey, hi dog. She played 2 years of beach for her master's at University of Portland.
Yeah.
And then she went down to Hermosa Beach down there and played her ball down there. But no, I wasn't. I was one of those parents parent coaches that was still talking to my daughter in the car on the way back. So I didn't, in the junior high ball, that was fine. Like in the boys and girls club setting. In the club setting, I didn't coach her.
Yeah.
Until she got in the car, I was that parent. Okay. I regret those times. Okay. Didn't feel like she was getting those skills taught by some of those younger coaches that were working with her, letting a lot of stuff go. And I wasn't good at it. I wish I could have those days back. Right. And I learned through time and then watching my wife play and having fun playing it so much that there's a whole nother world to competing and playing beach volleyball outside of just the competing part of it. Right. It's just a fun lifestyle. It's a great activity you can do for life, all that stuff. So I wish I would have had that passionate love for the game back then.
Sure.
I think it would have come through my coaching to her better. So I try to help younger coaches with that type of stuff. Okay. I know your personality. It's great. That's not really built into your DNA. Mine was more of I'm a concrete guy. Concrete hits the ground. I got a limited time to finish it. You've been around. It gets stressful. You got to go.
Come on, Bob.
Yeah. You got to get things done. There's no hesitation. There's no excuses. You just do it. Coaching doesn't have to be that way. Beach definitely doesn't need to be that way, but it took me a long time to learn that not everything is a concrete, drying, fast pressure situation. Right. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that testimony right there.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish more people understood about the sport of beach volleyball? And I think you kind of just hit it a little bit on the head right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a game where you don't need a lot of people to go play. It's available most anywhere. So you can go out there and play, have a good time. The culture of beach is to hang out. You may compete against somebody and you may be doing everything you can to beat them and do all that stuff and trash talking. And then when it's done, you're hanging out together. All right. That's just the way the beach culture is. Indoor, a lot of the coaches they walk past each other, don't say much, all that type of stuff. Beach, we all hang out, right? It's more of a chill atmosphere. It's a game you can play most of your life. So whether you played high school or college or not, that's something that you can go out and play with friends just about anywhere. That's what I love about this sport. It's what Tina, my wife, loves about it. Daughter. That's just basically it in a nutshell.
if I was, if you're hiring an assistant, what are some of the qualities that you're looking for in bringing on an assistant?
So I really like a coach that isn't just drawn to work with the top players, always wanting to be on the top court, always wanting to work with those players. I want a coach that has fun and is passionate about helping the developing players and watching them grow, spending the time there and investing into them, into the skills. It's really rewarding. And you'd find the majority of the coaches that come in want to just be on the top court. They want that recognition. They only want to work on the strategy of the game. And so I'm looking for, and I have a great group of assistants that go to those other courts, go help those players out and develop. I also want coaches that want to develop their own coaching style. I don't want puppets. Take the good that they see that I do and take good from other coaches they've worked with and put it together and develop what they think is their coaching strategy and use it. Yeah. Want them to feel free to adjust things when a drill is starting to, if they think it needs to be enhanced or it's starting to get flat or not pressuring the players enough, then make that adjustment, go ahead and think on the fly and do that. So yeah, that's self-motivated. I also look for coaches that have a philosophy that, and the players know they can talk to the other coaches about anything but playing time. And playing time only comes to the head coach. And if you're assisting, someone comes to you about playing time, say, hey, you talk to coach about that. I can tell you what I can help you with. And then lead on to the skills or what do they need to develop or how can we build the mental part of the game. My staff right now is doing a great job of that.
Yeah. If I'm trying to draw a parallel here. So I'm putting my football hat on. I'm thinking 2-minute drill. I'm thinking third down situations. I'm thinking red zone offense, red zone defense. Like those are kind of the pertinent situations that kind of pop up and you're going to practice, religiously on a weekly basis. What is that for you in beach volleyball? If you could draw a parallel, like that's something you're going to drill all the time. It's a situation that might come up. I don't know. Is this college rules is it the third set? Is it freeze?
It's the third set. Yeah, it's the third set. So we'll do last points or smaller games, consequences. We could play a game to 5 because we finish well. Sometimes we struggle starting well. Okay. So if that's the case, in every year or 2 years, you have a bigger, different group of players, different mentalities. Right now we're working on starting well. So we'll have short games of 5 or 7 and consequences for that, for the losses. And so it just kind of instills in them, we got to make a change right away, right? So pairs that make the quickest adjustments and then start making the other team make adjustments or not and beat them flat out. Those are the ones they're going to win. So quick adjustments, either start of the game or if we need to do that at the end of the games to finish people, we'll do that. But similar to indoor stuff, we'll score passing and the kill on their serve receive side. And there's consequences for things underneath a certain point.
Yeah.
So they're constantly stepping in. They know that pass has to be at least a couple option pass, and that kill either takes them out of system or it's a kill. And yeah, just every touch like that is being scored. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
What would you say separates a great beach player from a good beach player?
Well, it's all the extra time, right? For one, being passionate about it, but 2, doing the mundane drill work, strength training, the extra touches when you don't have 4 people, you're up against the wall doing something, working on your speed and agility type things. I think that's really what separates them. Being able to study the game properly, like be aware of the other team's weaknesses and how to exploit that. Be aware of your weaknesses and how to guard against that. So the great players, yeah, that's what they do, right? Good players, they're good athletes, right? They can play some power ball and they can, overwhelm people. But when they meet that same match physically and skill-wise, do they have the strategy can they process real-time information and make changes quick so that the other team has to adjust, right?
You mentioned game strategy a little earlier, and going back to, I played a lot of beach ball.
Yeah.
My only strategy was line or angle. You know what I mean? Line or angle, and then if you're playing pickup, it doesn't care who you serve. If you're playing a tournament, you're going to serve the weaker player. Like that's the extent of, for how much I've been around the game, that's really the extent of what I know as far as game strategy. I need you to geek out. I need you to nerd out for me. Like, take me on a little in-depth look at, okay, I'm preparing for an opponent. What are the factors I'm looking at? What am I studying? What am I changing to my approach, I guess, going into the game?
If you've never played them before, you're watching warm-ups.
Yeah.
You're going to see who the big attacker is. You're also watching who's got the better hands, right? So maybe one's got great hands and they're always setting their partner up for success. Maybe you serve them. Maybe they're not the better attacker. Maybe the better attacker, maybe the other one's not a good setter, right? So maybe you go after that attacker hoping they're getting a bad set. But really just there's some basics of, serve line to line. It's always the toughest serve to pass. Just you've got that. Sometimes we will run offense to set up their defense. Okay. So if they dig it, it's in a spot that they don't like attacking from.
Mm-hmm.
Say you have a strong left side attacker against us and they're the blocker. Well, if I run things on the right side, they're already in position to block from there and drop back to their strong point hitting. So maybe we will pass in front of ourselves on the left side, run our offense over there, bring that blocker over further, have them attack from the side they're not as good at, or they at least have to get further back off, move more to get out to where they want to be. Just things like that. There's a lot of different stuff you can do with that. You've got a big blocker, setting the ball off the net, high lines over flat driven balls to the corner until they make a change. And I always say, swing for that outside arm. Don't always miss a block and then make an error missing the court. Like, find a piece of that block and swing hard.
I prefaced this with you before we got on. It was the Anela Question of the day, and her question was, what is your favorite Disney character and why?
Yeah, I told you Goofy. And that's, I guess that's kind of me in a nutshell, right? So not serious, goofy, look like Goofy. And I don't know, character was always kind of off the wall and unpredictable and unserious. And I thought, well, that's kind of me.
Yeah. What does the word team mean to you?
Team is, no matter what sport it is, anything like that, that's players or work people coming together, one goal in mind, but it's an appreciation of each individual's skills and talents, right? You have vocal leaders, you have motivators, you have planners, you have people behind the scenes on the team that always seem to be doing the work, the servant leaders, right? Never looking for notoriety, always doing that stuff. But all those people coming together, working together for a win, and then respecting each other's talents, right? We've talked about identity, beach isn't our identity, right? Football, whatever we're doing. God gave us a lot of different talents, and respecting that talent of each other and allowing those other talents to work in a team. So I may have players that aren't on playing pairs that are leading different things at different times, and knowing that's okay. And that's what we want, nurturing those talents. You've always got those talented ball players, right? Kind of a talent for them learning to respect everybody else's talents that may not be physical out there. That's what makes a team. And I think that's kind of what makes a great team over just a good team.
Yeah, well, that's a good answer, Coach. It's a good answer. If you have a player, you mentioned right earlier, you like to mix up the pairings, you like to mix up, an All-American player with a developmental player. Let's just say someone was not living up to the standard or was not passing whatever test you had in store for them. What is that? You talked about communication. What does that communication look like to that player just to get them back on track?
Yeah, just, we start the year with just trying to be open with communication. Ask me anything, I'll talk with them about it. So I want to be approachable. So when I talk to them, I kind of let them know why we put them in a situation, what we saw, and then understanding, let them know we understand what your frustrations are, what your fears are, and that we can help them get over that and build the confidence. So when they're put in those situations I want them to leave Corban strong on their feet, strong Christian women out in the job field. And when they're asked to do something they think is maybe below them or the grunt work or something like that, I want them to be confident in, hey, I'm talented at this job, but this needs done, and I'm going to do that work enthusiastically and trust that the coaches or the boss knows what they're doing and that they need this to happen. So just communicating that to them, letting them know that, that was a bit of a test, and now we're going to work on that. So next time you see that happen, or you feel like that's happening, know that we know what we're doing, and we're wanting to help you develop those sorts of strengths and not questioning yourself. So, you gotta throw in different things like that to teach mental toughness, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, they catch on pretty quick. So
How do you go about building trust and continuity within the team? I know you want to make it fun at practice and you want to make it competitive at practice, but is there anything that you're doing off the court as a group together that, team bonding,
yeah,
anything like
so
that?
started this a couple years ago, pretty much open sharing. Talk about it at the start of the year. And now that it's established, the players that have been on the team, they'll just open up and share their struggles in life. Some have depressions, some have or have had addictions, some have anger issues, all that type of stuff. We share those things. We're vulnerable and not judging. And I have communication with some of the players that have depressions and things like that. They have communication with me. They walk up the hill to the courts, and some will give me a thumbs up, thumbs down sort of thing. Then I know how we're going to communicate that day at practice and help them through it. But players will see that and they'll know each other's struggles and know that that's okay. We go through life so often ignoring uh, or hiding our faults and keeping them in and acting like everything's together. And I think that open communication, they're doing that and they're able to help each other, then they will play for each other. Yeah. Yeah. So that happens at team bondings. That happens sometimes up at the courts. Sometimes we're just talking. Sometimes someone's had a tragedy or something like that. And we're just open about it. And that's just, yeah, I think we need that more in our lives.
I love how you do that. And it just kind of draws me back to, we did that in high school with volleyball. So Sharon Peterson, I don't know if you heard the name Sharon Peterson. She was my high school head coach, played at UCLA, was an Olympian, was on the women's first US Olympian team for indoor. But she was my high school coach, and she was an awesome coach, and it's one of those things that you're in it, and I definitely took it for granted. We would pre-practice and post games. So pre-practice we'd always sit down and we talked about the last practice, and then post games we'd always talk about the games, and it was just like a round table. Every once in a while she'll have an anecdote or a short story that she'll read. We'll talk about it, we'll discuss it, but it was good. Not all the times. I think about 90% of the times it was about ball, or it was about the message of the day, or it was about, recognizing your teammates, which I really like. What did this person do well? Because one, it empowered other people, and it turned on your eyes. What good practice habits look like, bad practice habits. So it made you more acutely aware of what was going on. But anyways, but there were times where, like you're saying, there's some deep conversations. There's some vulnerable kind of conversations. That was really good for us back then.
Yeah.
And
It's,
men are a lot more, or high school guys were a lot more freaking stubborn than
yeah.
girls.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We've built in also, instead of just setting up tutors for the players or the freshmen, we have the upperclassmen that are in their majors spend time with them, basically tutoring them, helping them with their studies type things. And that's really been a help because it bonds them together. Upperclassmen, lowerclassmen, all that stuff. We've been there, we've done that. I've been through that class. Here, I can help you with this. And rather than just tutor they don't know, spending a couple hours there. It's just built in the team, and that's really helped us a lot to keep the team close.
What are you looking for in a recruit? What are some of the traits that you're recruiting for? And if you can kind of dive in on that process.
Yeah, ultimately somewhere in the 40-inch vertical leap. No, sorry. Someone that loves the game, loves to compete, wants to be out there. We're in the Northwest. It's foggy out. It's cool, or maybe it's raining. They need to love the game and be self-motivated out there, so that I don't want to be the coach out there that has to push you and make you want to play. So if you want to be out there and you love the game, then with like players, you can teach them the game a lot quicker and be more successful. But yeah, first, the love of the game. Also, those players that you see always looking after their partner, bettering their partner, or uh, engaging with their partner after a play, and not just silly cheers. I mean, really, really helping them out and being genuine. Just really love that. Just that's the whole character of it, right? I can teach the skills. That's I love doing that, but I need to have that character. So
From I guess from a physical standpoint though, like what are some of the traits that obviously you need to be good.
right.
Is there like are there some, unique things that you're kind of looking for?
Yeah, I look for that six position player at the NAIA level. I'm not going to get very often a 5'11" or taller beach player
Mhm.
that's super developed, right? And competitive because there's not a ton of those out there. And if they are, they're playing for USC, LMU, all those places. It's just so I'm looking for that six position high school player who's too small to get picked up as a six position or outside or a front row at D1. And then because they've got the skills, they can pass, they're used to being in control of things. They're aggressive attacking. And so even if they don't have beach experience, I can teach that player that and get them up to speed. It takes a year or two. If they're willing to put the process in, uh, that's kind of what I'm looking for
Yeah.
is you often find some liberos and DSs too with good hops and stuff, but they already know how to set, so they're good defenders. And so now I'm teaching them how to be offensive, right? So, and how to get up and attack, how to shape their shots, mix it up, how to pass options so that they're blocking partners, able to put balls away if they're getting picked on all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say percentage wise do most of the girls that come into the program, most of them have some sort of beach background, or has there been
No.
situations where just okay, this girl played indoor her whole life and now you're transitioning her to beach?
So if I bring in, say, 7 players, I have to bring in more this year because we're graduating a big class out. But let's say if I bring in 7 players, I'll probably have 4 or 5 of those with beach experience, and always a couple that are going to
Yeah.
learn beach,
Yeah.
right? So
What do you think is the hardest thing for them to pick up from the indoor game to the beach game?
yeah, well, obviously setting, right? So
Yeah.
hand setting, but we work all fall on that. They come up to speed pretty quick on it. Learning different shots, things like that. Indoor, you got that long approach. You can hang in the air. You're up in the air longer,
Yeah.
a little more elongated swing. In beach, they're not up in the air that long. They need to learn to consolidate everything powerfully and quick and get that ball to where they want it to go while they're on the way up.
Yeah.
And so that's got to happen quick. I think that's probably the hardest part for the attack.
That's that was my hardest adjustment for as much as I played beach and then going to indoor. And I do think it's a guy thing where we're just kind of stubborn, like, oh, I'm still gonna broad jump in beach.
Yep.
And then okay, I finally get to my spot, get up, and because I'm so used to being behind the ball and broad jumping towards the ball, now I'm underneath the ball and I'm swinging back. So
Yeah.
that for me was the hardest thing. And then I think the other one too is I loved open hand serve receiving in
Oh, yeah.
indoor.
Right. Yeah.
And I just couldn't do it in beach. I don't know if the rules change or not. Can you open hand serve receive on
You
beach?
you can't have finger action.
Oh, so it needs to be
Yeah,
interesting.
it can be a quick double.
Yeah.
Hands need to be fairly close together. They don't want to go here, out, but they can be separated now. But you can't direct and finger action. You can, I mean, it's still the same rule. You can take it if you're not holding it and it comes out perfectly
Clean.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of save that for the top level ball players.
I stand by this. The best thing for my setting is I went up and stayed in Vancouver for a year, and the guy had an old school court. Guy name was Jay. You probably
Oh
cross
yeah,
paths with him. So Jay has a nice court in his backyard, has a pool back there, but you had to play old school rules. But the best thing about it was you could use your hands and you could chuck a set, and it's not going to hurt you.
yeah.
So like honestly, I thought that was the best thing as far as developing setting. It was like just getting put in a situation in a game where it's not going to affect the outcome of that, the point. I mean,
Right.
yes, for the round, but not necessarily for the point.
Yeah, we in the fall we don't call hands. Okay.
Nothing.
Only time we'll call hands if the feet aren't in position to
Ooh, I
make
like
that.
that.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That way they're not giving up the point. Okay. And they play it out. Okay. Then the next stage is as we hit competition time now, we'll allow a little bit to go, a little bit more uh, than usual in a game setting, but we'll start fine tuning it more with them and making some calls. And then probably in another week or so, I will call them all, getting them ready. But yeah, most of the time they don't want to use their hands. They don't want to give up a point for their partner. So in the fall, we just develop hands.
That's
So
good. That
yeah.
was another thing that Coach Peterson did a lot was when we would have little intra-squad scrimmages, she would ref and she would just call some BS. And I always failed the test, but how was I going to respond? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or how was X person going to respond? So like, do you take that same approach where you might chuck a call on just to see how?
Yeah. Is the other team going to, like, if I let something go, is the other side going to keep playing? Or are they going to stop? Right.
Yeah.
You need to be better. Like, you're always going to have bad calls or missed calls or net serves that trickle over on you, things that happen outside of your control. You need to be better than the team on the other side plus 4 points for
Why
those.
+4? Why'd you end up on that +4 as a number?
Yeah, well, you're probably going to have 2 tape serves, right? You're going to probably have at least one bad call, yeah, and one outside possibility point that that's most likely to happen. If you can be better than them +4 for those things, then yeah, just play through and let it go, right? Stand up for yourself, stand up for the rest, whatever you need to do, but don't let it affect your game. Just so if we don't make a call in practice or something like that, the other team pauses and stops, or the other side does, then we know they're not really trained for that, and we got to keep building on it. So yeah.
How do you go about establishing a sense of leadership or shared leadership within the team? You mentioned the older classmen taking underclassmen underneath the wings if they're within the same major, but maybe your captain's process. I don't know if you guys do team captains, or what does that look like as far as empowering other players?
So I will have players that I will lean on for different things, and it's often nothing to do with what's on the court. So I've got players that are really good at social media. They'll handle our media, Instagram things, right? I have players that love to plan. I love players that live close to campus or their families host things for us. Have players that are court motivational, right? And get the team hyped up and do stuff like that. As a coach, I try to recognize those things. I try to say those things and let each of those people thrive at what they do. And if it's a servant leader that's just doing all the grunt work and the hard work, they'll probably call that out more than anything else, right? So yeah, I think a lot of that is just being good quality teammates and people, just showing love for one another. Jesus said that's how they'll know we're his disciples, if we show love for one another. And I try to just instill that. Yeah. Go out, use your talents, show love for another.
I like it. We'll go 2 more questions and I'll let you go to bed here. What does the communication look like after your team just lost a bad match or a tournament? What does that look like? Are you addressing that right after? Are you letting some time cool off, address it the next day or something? What does that look like?
I usually circle up afterwards, acknowledge what the other team did really well, right? Take nothing from them. Talk about maybe why we came out flat. Did we have finals before that week? All that type of stuff, right? Did we get hung up on the road and have to sleep in the airport overnight type things? You've traveled enough and had different wacky things.
Bus breakdowns?
Yeah, those type of things. Did they affect us? Where was our mental setting? Did we not make quick adjustments? Things like that. We'll do a brief overview of that type of thing. We'll do a deeper assessment that night if we're playing the next day, or if we're going back home to practice. Then we have practices and we'll deal with it at practice. We'll break down that stuff. It's usually not making quick adjustments.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's no excuses if it's passing. No, we just didn't pass well. Well, fix that now, right? Fix that after 1 or 2. Those are things you know how to fix. We always do that. You need to be accountable for that stuff. If it's strategy stuff, then we'll go through and study the film or go through what we didn't make the other team do and what they made us do that we didn't want to do.
Yeah. That was one of the questions that I thought of. I forgot to ask was, talk to me about the film process and what's that look like? Like, are
I
you
do a
guys
little
watching
bit.
that every day? Are you guys
No,
watching that practice, or just more so opponent scout and
yeah,
then the game?
opponent scout type thing. It's most of our practices are filmed, and they can go on and watch that, and
That is such a luxury.
yeah,
And
it's
I'm assuming every sport I've been a part, I guess, but even at Linfield, like not every sport did it at Linfield,
yeah.
if I'm
No,
not mistaken. But
I pretty much, unless they want my help studying it, they study a lot of that on their own or with each other and do
sure,
stuff. I don't want them coach reliant. I'll give them those tools and practice what things they need to be looking for uh, to do things. I want them to learn strategies that are effective for them, and learn to go ahead and just watch your film and uh, and self-assess what you need to make changes on and stuff like that, and we'll work on it at practice. But then sometimes I'll sit down with them and watch film and break it down if we're trying to really make some fine-tune adjustments and stuff like that. They're changing some of the rules as far as coaching. Usually it's walk and talk on switches is all the coaches get to do, and then a technical timeout and a timeout.
yeah.
This year they're going to start letting talk after dead balls and before the serve.
Pace of play. Come on, man.
And they're going to try to keep that up. But I talked to the team this year. I said, listen, my intent still, and for the love of the game, is for you to figure it out, for you to make game strategies, for you to be aware of what's going on in real time on the court and not listen to this old guy over here on the side chirping a bunch, right? And I'll be looking for things that I can tell you on a switch that could help. My goal is that they are passionate about it, they're studying it, and they're owning that stuff, and they're learning, and they're implementing it. And I'm just the old guy carrying their water bottle to the next bench, right? That's my ultimate goal.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Is there any final advice on coaching, teaching, leadership you'd like to share for my 7 listeners?
Communication all the way through as a player, as a coach, open sharing, communicate all the way through. One other thing for young coaches, I didn't learn it till later. I watched an older coach have that moment where he had figured it out. Don't be more emotionally involved in a match or a game than the players are willing to be. Get them hyped up now and then. That's great. Give them that inspirational moment. But if they continue to want to be mediocre with their energy level and their efforts, let them deal with the results and address it at practice, and then address it with consequences, which is the players that are behind them that are working their tails off to try to be in a playing pair every day at practice. And just watch them give a mediocre performance. I'm not going to reward that. I'll reward the hard workers and play them, right?
Yeah.
But I used to get out of whack early on because they didn't seem to care, and the whole thing got done, and all they wanted to do is, where are we going out to lunch? And that type of stuff. And it would just drive me nuts. But if that's what they want out of it, then you kind of got to not step emotionally beyond what they're willing to do.
No, that's a great advice right there.
Yeah. So wish I'd have known that earlier. And it's hard to do because take pride in winning, right? And playing hard, and to watch someone not do that, but then deal with that at practice, deal with that in talks. And the best motivator is that bench or that seat next to you.
I like it.
And that's what motivates practice, because those other players that are working hard are now rewarded and know that their time actually means something. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. And I hope we didn't put those 7 listeners to sleep.